when you did the exercise, we got it, but we could see your eyes going to the text. If the reel is there, is going to the text not a showstopper? Yeah, I just, so the first of all, no, I don't think it is. And I just wrote that, you know, like 20 minutes before. I don't think it is a showstopper, meaning you want to do your best to, especially if it's like a little thing like that. Like I would have that memorized, of course, for the real audition. But so many things that we think are a showstopper are not, right? Like picking up the script, looking at the lines, improvising if we need to, none of that stuff is a showstopper. If you're on the action, it's actually like that Josh Holloway example I gave, where if you know Google Josh Holloway Lost Audition, you'll see him, if I recall correctly, kind of go up on his lines or whatever. It's often going up on the lines is what people will they'll just see that as the thing that made them go like, oh my God, that guy just is the character. It's just happening, right? So if you're on, what I tell actors is you can't get the lines right and be on the action. And most actors, again, without realizing it, the audition becomes just trying to memorize lines. Instead of going like, hey, we know you didn't do it, just confess, man. You know, it's not worth it. Come on, we know you're guilty. Just freaking tell us that you did it. We know it. Instead of imperfectly doing that, most actors try to go, hey, we know you did it. Just confess. They're not aware that what people are seeing is like, I'm trying, please let me remember the line. Please let me remember the line. And most actors too, this is the way it was for me when I was younger. The audition was like, I was bringing this delicate glass sculpture into the room. And if someone looked at the glass sculpture wrong, or the slightest too much air hit it, it would shatter into pieces. And I was the glass sculpture. I am the glass sculpture. And I'm coming in to do the audition, either in the room or on self-tape. And if everything goes my way and I can make all the moves without too much resistance, maybe I'll get through it. Ooh, it's not fun, right? But if there's no character to break, suddenly everything. I've done auditions before where suddenly in the middle of the audition, I take a drink of water, or I pick up the little bear on my desk, or I do whatever, or I make up the words. Say thanks to Casting Frontiers. Yes, I already did, but I'd like to say thanks to Casting Frontiers again, as Michael reminded me. I did say thanks earlier. I did. And I would like to say thanks to Casting Frontier again. Thank them. Thank you, Michael, for the reminder. Thank you to the guys at Casting Frontier for hosting this, for getting this out to you guys. This has been such a great experience for me. Hopefully it was a really good experience to you, for you. And if you did like this and really got a lot out of it, please let Casting Frontier know. Thank them for doing this. They're doing it free, you know, I'm doing it free. So I thank them, and you can thank them as well, please. They're a great service, and they're great people that run that place too. So I'm very grateful. So back to the glass sculpture. Yeah, so what we want to do is, yes, we want to memorize the lines, and I find there's certain ways that are really helpful to memorize lines. And yes, we can have blocking, and yes, we can have lights and do this stuff. But when push comes to shove, now I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it with the reader, with the person in my mind. And if I have to look at the script, or if I make something up, it doesn't matter. Because if they don't see you break the character, it's dazzling. Apparently, if you've watched what I consider one of the greatest television shows of all time, which is The Wire, the guy, I forget the actor's name, Dominic somebody, I think, he plays the lead on The Wire, but apparently with the executive producer of that show, I read in an interview where he did a self-tape for McNulty, the cop, and he was reading off the script and doing both parts. It was an interrogation scene, and he was reading the script and being the criminal and the cop. He was like, man, we know you did it, so why are you giving us this runaround? Fuck you, McNulty. I'm not giving you the runaround. I'm not telling you shit. Well, you should tell us shit, because if you don't, you're going to spend the night in here. How you feel about that? Man, fuck you. I don't care what like he did something like that. And apparently the executive producer, and again, he happened to be right for the role, look-wise, personality-wise. But apparently the executive producer says they watched it and they're like, only McNulty would do that. That's McNulty. Like he's McNulty. Only McNulty would read with himself. So, and I don't think the actor like did it as like, oh, wouldn't this be interesting? I think it was a spontaneous thing that he was doing. And the most important thing he was doing was acting in an honest, spontaneous way, you know? And there's lots of stories like that. Boy, I'm impressed with you. God bless you. Thank you so much. If you were leading with the craft as priority, do you think having quality lighting and sound in audition helps or detracts from the audition tape? I know some CDs who are all about the lo-fi tapes, and others have told me they go nuts when the actor looks like hell and the sound isn't great. So I'm constantly torn. I know this goes in the crazy making category you mentioned at the top of the webinar. Yeah, it does. It's both those things, right? It goes in the crazy making. So we want to take tag and realize it's not really about the sound, right? It's not really about that. We want to face what it's really about, and then make imperfect decisions. I mean, obviously, like, you want to be heard and you want to be seen. Is this the best backdrop for a webinar, 2 actors about coaching and about, you know, I mean, do all this stuff that I'm talking about? I don't know, maybe, but I think the heart of what I'm doing is good. So, and the sound is decent, and I've, you know, I got a HD camera, and this is this, and here we go, right? So yes, I think whether it's high quality or lo-fi, by far the most important thing is this, you know what I mean, is doing something real and actual, and then discovering for yourself, again, by making it a craft, what you want to do, what's fun for you to do, the risks you want to take. One of the last auditions I had before things pretty much shut down was I decided to play this game, and because I was really busy, like, coaching people and living my life, and I don't have much time at all to prep as an actor. Like, acting is kind of my side business right now. But I decided, like, a friend of mine said, hey, I think you're perfect for this lead. I told the casting to see you. Script's not very good, but here it is. And I just decided, like, I'm going to read it just once. I'm going to choose an action and as if, and then I'm just going to have I'm going to dress like this lawyer character, and I'm going to improv a bunch and have the script with me. I'm just literally going to read it once. I don't do that with all auditions. I remember maybe have never done it exactly like that before, but I wanted to have fun. And I didn't have much time, and it was a great way to accept the time that I had and had fun. And I did it on my couch over here, and I, like, had a cup of coffee with me, and it was a blast. And the CD, it's interesting because it often happens with this way of working. The CD loved it. She wrote me personally and said how much she liked it. And she said the amount of time and effort you put into crafting that character was so impressive. I worked on it for like 15 minutes, maybe even 7 minutes. But it gives the illusion of someone who, my God, they must have spent so much time crafting that and then making it look spontaneous. And, like, it's the opposite, right? So much of working on the audition is about doing less, about, like, paring away so we can just see the simple thing. So yeah, to look into someone, say I'm an older actor, new to the technology, do I look directly into camera or do I look off? I mean, it all depends. You know, and again, as I keep saying, I think this making sure it's, you know, a blocking, which I talk about in my classes, like how to, you know, there are ways to come up with effective blocking choices. But again, that's all the cherry on the top. And so we want to make the choices and then just let it rip with the action. And if we don't have a reader, again, the thing I really say that is very important for this approach is don't try to pretend someone's out there, but see them in your mind and just pick the spot that you look at. And a lot of actors get messed up if they're like, well, you know, this one detective's here, and one's over here maybe. And, like, what if it, again, what really matters the most is doing the honest thing. And if they believe I'm actually talking to somebody, and if one detective is here and one is here and they move around the eye line, not nearly important as a spontaneous actual thing happening. How can we find an action to play in a scene where the character seems to have no stakes in the scene? Great question, because a lot of stuff that a lot of actors are auditioning for are very low stakes. And a trap a lot of actors make with co-star parts is they're trying to do too much, because a lot of times it's just like an exposition, right? A lot of times it's just you're doing the co-star part where you're just saying to the cop, like, oh yeah, I was locking up my my store on my way home, but I didn't hear anything. No, ask my neighbor. He might have heard something. That might be the line. You know what I mean? Or the line might be, would you like another beer? And you're the waiter, right? And again, I find 1 or 2 line parts much more challenging than 8 pages for a bunch of different reasons. But we want to accept that a lot of scenes are low stakes, which is why a great question, and I talk about this in the classes as well, to have my actors ask themselves this question: what do I think the purpose of this role is? Is it just exposition? And if it's just exposition, based on the style of the show, is it usually like funny exposition or interesting exposition, or is it just usually dry exposition? So a lot of times the action is low stakes. and the actor's often trying to do too much. So if I'm playing the waiter and there's no joke on me, there's no nothing, I'm just saying, can I get you anything else? And it's like the check, please. The action I might play is just like in a gentle way, asking an acquaintance if they need a hand, you know? So it might be my neighbor has 3 bags of groceries, and I'm just like, you know, saying to my neighbor, hey, Judy, you got it, or can I help you? You ready for the check, or would you like any dessert? Right? It's that, it can be that simple. Another great quote I love about acting is have the courage to be boring, because the ego wants to do something interesting. The ego wants to make it interesting. The ego wants to do line readings. And when it's really going well, like you saw for these prolonged moments with the young ladies today, when they're just doing it and they're not trying to do anything, it's so much more interesting than suddenly getting an idea and presenting it, right? Your honesty is comforting. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Thank you for the compliments. Sincerely, thank you. Someone asking, like, I've recently gotten management within 3 to 4 months. I've been with them. I haven't booked anything. Do you think I'm at risk? What do they look for? So if I don't get dropped? Well, again, one of the most challenging things, but one of the most helpful things about what's going on right now is all bets are off. So what are agents right now? You know, I was supposed to meet with a new manager right before the last week of February. I had a problem. My problem was I was cast to play opposite Aaron Eckhart, to play Aaron Eckhart's right-hand man in a war thriller. And at the same time, I was supposed to go camping with my childhood best friend in the Grand Canyon. And both those things conflicted with each other. And they were both taking place like the second week of March. What was a man to do? Well, neither one of them happened, right? So, and I also had a meeting with a manager. I also let go of a representation I had because I got this big part and I was going to take new meetings, and now I have no theatrical representation, at least for the moment, right? So things don't work out like we think they're going to. That's okay. And again, this time that we're living in, what's happening with agents, what's it going to look like? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. So more than ever, the reality, we can get in touch with the reality that's it's imperfect moves, you know? So if we haven't booked with our agent, and a lot of actors haven't booked with their agent because there's no auditions happening right now for the past month or so, but we can again, both with the actions we're choosing for the audition scene, but with our career itself, imperfect choices. If you're obsessing about whether to ask your manager a question or not, or your agent, take a tag and then just make a move. Hey, is there anything you want me to be working on right now in this time? Or hey, can I show you a fun self-tape I did? Imperfect moves, imperfect moves. The more imperfect moves we make, most of which don't work out like we want them to, but again, out of the rubble, we get more imperfect moves.